Hey guys, I am here today with this. This is the 2025 Alfa Romeo Tonale. What a drama queen. Let's get into it. So the Alfa Romeo Tonale originally came out as a hybrid version, but this one is new and it's the turbocharged one. And boy, it's a lot of things. Let's just say the blooper reel from this video is gonna be something. Before we dig into the drive, I wanted to talk a little bit about the design of this car. So obviously this color isn't necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but it does make a statement. Also, if you're an old school Alfa Romeo fan, you'll appreciate the specialized wheels here that give a little nod to OG Alfa, as well as the logo in the center of the wheels. Also, you'll note that every once in a while they pop out an Italian flag to remind you that this is, a special Italian vehicle. But I'll tell you, the quirks in this car reminded me that it was Italian at every turn. Again, I'll get to that in a sec. All right, I just want to talk a little bit about the front end of this vehicle because it's really kind of cool, right? I mean, there are a lot of crossover SUVs on the market right now, but this is pretty sweet, right? This is really interesting. I think it's really special and doesn't look like everybody else. And that is definitely the goal of this Alfa product, because at every turn it reminds you this is not your ordinary vehicle. Okay, so under the hood, I've got a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that's putting out 268 horsepower and 295 foot-pound of torque. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. And of course, like I said before, the previous version is a hybrid option that they're still offering. But this, again, is the ICE turbocharged one. And under most circumstances, I would always prefer a hybrid. But in this case, this is a powerful little beast. But keeping her under control is a whole other story. Let me tell you more about that. Behind the wheel. So, we talked about what's under the hood. This Tonale comes with standard all-wheel drive, great 9-speed automatic transmission. That was quite smooth, actually. That surprised me, given how jerky it can be in other areas. There are also drive modes with this thing. The one that I have here has the DNA architecture, which is the acronym that they use for their 3 different their drive modes. So one is dynamic, which is obviously your more aggressive one. And then you've got natural, which is what everybody else calls comfort. And then advanced, which, I don't know, it's not necessarily track, but it could be a little bit more or track adjacent, I guess. So the natural is funky. So again, like I say this in every time I do these videos for you guys, like when you get behind the wheel, the first thing you need to do after setting up your mirrors, and your rear view mirrors, your side mirrors, your seats, your steering wheel, and you pair your phone, is to get going and try those drive modes. It's so important because cars these days they can drive like different vehicles once they're in a different mode, and I definitely found that with this Tonale. As much as I hated her in the natural mode, in the advanced, we were friends. We were fine. We got along really well. Her wild tempers were really fun, and we got along great. It went really fast when I wanted to do. It would corner fine. Like we had a good time. Try your drive modes. It's critical. Okay guys, since this video could get boring, because car reviews sometimes can be dull, I know, I thought it'd be fun to ram this car into the cement wall. Oh, I'm just kidding. But I did want to show you with this ominous concrete wall in front of me, how funky it can be to park this. So like imagine this is a concrete wall in a parking lot, right? And I'm trying to park this car. First thing I'm gonna do is check to see if the parking brake is on, because she sometimes just turns on for whatever reason, I don't know. Obviously I would have my seatbelt on because I'm a responsible grown-up. And then I would just put in drive like I just did and try to move forward. Oh, okay. Little funky. Good news here is I do have automatic braking, so I wasn't gonna ram into it anyway, but let me show you what that's like in reverse. Okay, right? You heard the parking brake come off? But like, see how torquey that was? Just a little unpredictable. So while this car is really fun to drive, it's also the throttle response, essentially like what the gas pedal does when you press on it, is very sensitive, particularly at lower speeds. So what I'm telling you, what all of that nonsense means is if you are thinking about this car or get this car or just bought this car, be really careful when you get on the gas, particularly at a stop and at parking. You'll get used to it, trust me, you will. But it's not gonna be like your Honda Civic or whatever you just came out of. It's just gonna be a little different. You know why? Because it's Tonale. Okay, from the moment you get into this vehicle, you know that it's not your average car, okay? Because you get in and it's like, okay, great. Beautiful interior, this is nice. Okay, this doesn't feel like necessarily a $35,000 SUV. Cool. All right, I've got my key, I'm ready to go, right? But then you get behind the wheel and you're like, what? Where's the start button? Where is that? Oh no, she's gotta be special. She puts the start button right here. All right, once you get past that, you're like, all right, I can figure out how to start and I can get used to that. But then everything in here is just a little weird. Let me show you the dash, because that's really the best example. Okay guys, we're behind the wheel now. Let's talk about what's happening here. Okay, steering wheel, very straightforward, except for this wonky start-stop thing. Whatever, you figure it out. Over here, we've got an actual volume button. I'm such a fan of that. Fantastic. Again, a little Easter egg. This is an Italian car. We're gonna remind you about that. But guess what? They do it during the drive too, because you got your turn indicator here. And most of the time you see them up here. But Alfa decides to put it in the corner here where you kind of can't see it depending on where you put your steering wheel. But you know what? It's fine. It's cute. You get used to that. Fine. Apple CarPlay. Woohoo! Android Auto also. I've got a really great charging pad here, if I can just move the garbage out of the way. So there's a charging pad here, but in typical Alfa style. I would show you, but I can't because I'm filming on my phone. Getting your phone in and out of this charging pad, impossible, such a pain. I guess you get used to it, but you can't just pop your phone in there. You have to angle it in, get in and out. Oh my gosh, so Italian, God bless them. But listen, they're the people that gave us pasta and pizza, so we can't get too angry, can we? No. Also here, so again, steering wheel, lovely. I loved all the manual buttons, great. It's a little funky and hard to get used to where everything is in the interface, but once you get used to it, it's fine. It really is. Like, so we've got your media, you've got the vehicle settings here, which is nice, and you can personalize your ambient color. You've got a great rear view camera, love that. But again, CarPlay is everything for me, and I really liked that. And first of all, the Apple CarPlay wireless worked really, really well, which isn't always the case. And also, the way it interacted with the existing vehicle was really nice. I was happy with that, because that doesn't always please me, to be honest. Okay, I don't know if you can see. I'll show you. I'll take some shots. They've got two stationary cup holders here, one of which is beautifully placed right in front of the access to this little compartment here. So don't try to get access both of those at the same time, because you can't. But whatever, it was fine. It was fine. It all worked out. You obviously have the two different ports here, which is nice, the USB-C and a USB port there, which is actually really unusual. It's rare that you see them side by side in a vehicle. On my door, I've got a large bottle cup holder and another holder, a weird little compartment here that is probably just going to collect crumbs. But everything else in the car, in the driver's seat, was intuitive and easy, with those little caveats that I already gave you. There are just a couple things that it just loves to throw you off your game, but that's just kind of how this car rolls, which, yeah, is something. All right, back seat, guys. The back seat in this car is fine. Is it the lap of luxury? No. Do you expect that in a $35,000 car? You shouldn't. But here's what's fun. That's fun. You like that? So good. The other thing that's really fun, and when I found out I was getting this car, my friend Lynn Woodward over at KBB said, "Watch out, because you're going to hit your head." And I think if she hadn't told me I was going to hit my head on this door, I would have. So be careful. Someone's going to hit their head. And if you have a kid, be careful with that, because that's not great. Watch, I'm probably, yeah, of course I'm going to hit my head while I'm doing this. So whatever. Bizarre design. Great leg room on this side. I have this one back really far, so don't be freaked out by that. That's fine. We've got vents here. Again, the dual charging ports, which I kind of appreciate. I think that's great. I'm never a fan in the back seat if there isn't a secondary vent. But again, this is a not very expensive car, so sometimes it's going to get stuffy back here if you live in Southern California. You're only getting these vents. Also, if you have kids, that's just not enough ventilation if you live in a warm climate, in my opinion. But what do I know? Just a girl. All right, on the door, we've got bottle holders, a can holder, whatever it is, you know, this little thing. I showed you this in the front seat. What am I supposed to put in this little box? I feel like it's just meant for a pack of cigarettes, you guys. I mean, I don't know. A phone's not going to fit in that, right? That's not going to work. A bag of chips isn't going to fit in that. Like an iPad, the only thing I can think of is a pack of cigarettes or maybe some gum. I don't know, but to me, it's just going to collect crumbs and dust and dog hair like my sweater. So I don't recommend that at all. It's worth telling you guys that there is a center armrest here and two cup holders and a place for phones. Great. But more importantly, let's see what happens when we put the back seats down. Okay, 60-40 split. Actually, that's more like a 70-30, but you know, I'm not going to get technical. Do they lie flat? I don't know. What do you guys think? Are these flat? These are not flat in my opinion, but whatever. You got to move this chair forward in order to do this. I told you guys the blooper reel for this was going to be hilarious, and I didn't lie. So there's the back end. It's not perfectly flat. Frankly, I don't think most people need that, but if you have specific needs, you know what to do with that. What this doesn't have in terms, if you're going to be laying your seats down flat a lot, or just down in this case, note that it doesn't have the thing that holds your seatbelt out of the way for when you put it back up. So you just need to, you know, do it carefully, do it right, make sure there are no kids in the way. That's unfortunate. But in general, this back seat is nice, and the trunk has plenty of room. That's really nice. All right, passenger seat, front passenger. Listen, this is very comfortable. It really is. This trim has power seats, great. I've got an armrest. Again, I've got my little cigarette holders here. I don't know what they want you to put in here. Like literally, my phone doesn't fit. I don't know what this is. Please, if you have an idea, it's making me crazy. What am I gonna put in this little thing? Because, you know, I don't want my keys over here in the side. Like I have some lipstick. I mean, maybe that's what they're thinking. Makeup? I don't know. Let me know in the comments because I am dying to know what the engineers were thinking here. Anyway, there's my lipstick. Comfortable front seat. I really did like this dash. It's a little messy, but the interface is really nice. And at every point, every moment they get, they're going to remind you with these little curvy details that this isn't a normal car and this is an Alfa. Because some people care, I'll show you this. I mean, these are fine. The size is fine. Smallest mirror in the world for a very vain society. I don't know, or sort of very big roof. And hooray, hooray, hooray. Zip it. I know my door's open. What's really nice is this shade because, hey, I'm here in Southern California. The sun is not out now, but so many companies now give us these enormous sunroofs and no tint whatsoever. This was nice to have this little shade. I thought that was great. Of course, I've got 2 buttons to make this even more complex, but it's fine, whatever. It's not a panoramic sunroof. It's not the biggest one you've ever experienced, but it's totally fine. And if you like a sunroof, I thought this one was great. It wasn't noisy, which always makes me nutso. So bravo on that. All right, let's check out the back end of the Tonale. You know, it's a funky car, so don't think it's gonna be simple getting in here. Sometimes the button's here to open it. Sometimes these things flip up when they're really trying to get you. I'm looking at UVW. But most of the time it's down here, fine. But if you just go to grab it, you're gonna go like, what's under here? Don't freak out. One is your backup camera, one is the trunk opener, and one is the trunk open lock. So essentially the 2 buttons you feel here, rubberized, are these 2 buttons. No big deal. Okay, I'm gonna insert some footage because you guys need to see what's happening here. It's really plenty of room under here, but it's a sunken trunk. Sunken trunk. There's some sort of joke in that. Which is great because it keeps stuff, unless it's a water bottle, from rolling around too much, which is great. I've also got a little sub thing here. No spare in this. Automakers have stopped doing that. They'll give you like a kit, which is not the best. But that's a different video to tell you why. So it's fine. But I like this back end. I think it's really useful, and that little ledge, which is a little quirk, again, is actually kind of useful in my opinion. All right, so because this is an Italian car, you got to have your ski pass through. So you can put, once that armrest goes down, you've got to pass through here for skis, which is something the Germans do, you know, like Volvo likes this, Audi, sorry, Mercedes, my BMW at one point had it, and that had like a little sock, you know, so I didn't get snow all over the passengers. This isn't doing that because we're not at that price point, but you know, this is nice, little pass through. Does it go back up all the time easily? No, because this is a quirky car and nothing simple. But that's unfortunately kind of part of its charm. All right, if you're looking for scale, here is a Great Dane and here is a Lab. They're not allowed in the car, which is why she's staring at me. She loves press cars. She goes a little crazy. If you work for Alfa Romeo and you're watching this video, think of Princess. She wants to get in the car. Anyway, that gives you an idea about what the scale on this car would be. So you could put a medium-sized dog in it. How would your Great Dane do? Probably not the best. I'd recommend a different vehicle if you've got a big dog like me. Okay, so what's the verdict? It took me a long time to decide what I was gonna say to you guys, because in the beginning, I called my husband, I'm like, I hate this car. Something wrong with it. It's making me crazy. Can't stand it. Cut to 2 days later, I'm driving out to Palm Springs and I'm having the best time on the freeway. I've got my sunroof open, I've got the heated seats going, I've got my Apple CarPlay, I'm zooming around, you know, and it's fun, it's playful, I'm getting great mileage, and all of a sudden I was like, I like this weird little car. So to answer the question, it is weird. It isn't normal, but honestly, particularly in this segment, things could get really boring with a crossover SUV. Not in the Tonale, baby. No, things are fun behind the wheel of this, but that comes with a lot of quirks that might make you crazy. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.